Welcome everybody to Mind Body Monday. I see a few people are still connecting to their various audio and video connections. So I'm just going to give it another minute or two. And I see some new faces. Welcome, Arthur. I'm not sure where you are in the world, but it's a treat to see you. Okay, we'll check in. If you have some questions, Arthur, on the topic today, I'm going to give you a chance to be unmuted and you get to shoot away, okay? Great. It's lovely to see you all. And we have some new faces here tonight. Who else do I see? We have Yvonne, we have Robin here. We have Penina. Welcome, Penina. Gail is here. Kathy, Elise is here. Judith, welcome, Judith. David is here, like the flowers. Sarah, Michal Berger, fantastic. Avraham, Ruchama, Eliza, welcome. Nice to see you. Okay, what a treat. And Minna is here. I'm sure others may be joining us as well, Ruchama. Okay, so it is such a treat to see you all. I'm going to see if I can put something in the chat for you. And I invite you, as we're going along, if you have any questions, post them in the chat, because this way I'll be able to respond. We're going to have some Q&A time at the end as well. So we have a very interesting topic. So let me just open up my my Zoom other screen, because I've got two screens going here, and then we're going to kick off. Welcome to Mind Body Monday, and thank you to each of you for taking in time to show up and join me here on Mind Body Monday. If this is your first, I hope it won't be your last, because there is tons of breaking news to learn about how to advance your health and well-being in mind, body, and spirit. In today's session, we are going to be covering, and you're going to be learning, how could someone really be overweight and at the same time be undernourished? So that is something that has intrigued me quite a bit. And we're going to be going into that a little bit today. The second thing we're going to look at is a simple, non-invasive way to know if you have any nutritional deficiencies. I personally use this test on myself at least once a year. It's pain-free, and it can even be done at a home, and you can get an entire panel of what minerals a person is low in or in excess of, or any heavy metals, which I'm not sure I'll get to that topic unless it's posted as a question. And the third thing you'll discover is the 3 reasons why you may be now malnourished, regardless of your size. That is large, medium, and small. Whatever it happens to be, I've seen so many patterns in people are malnourished, even the healthy eaters. So before we kick off, especially if this is your first time, I just want to give you another big welcome. But I'm really excited to share with you the release of my brand new program called Heal Your Gut Program. So bear with me just for 1 or 2 minutes as I just share this excitement with you, because the weekly Mind Body Monday sessions are a place where you'll learn about the mind-body connection in general, how it relates to your health, your gut health, and how this impacts your immune system, your energy levels, your mood, your general well-being. And I'll always give some key takeaways so you can practice and put them in your life already today. My new Heal Your Gut program is really designed for those who want to really take a deeper dive, because over this 8-week intensive Heal Your Gut program, it's a pathway to really heal your gut for good from the inside out. It's fun, it's interactive, it's super practical, and you get to learn and apply my step-by-step approach to heal your gut. Now, this program is not for everybody. It's only for those who are ready to commit to themselves, to take their health to a whole new level of energy and vitality, and you'll be getting your biggest questions asked are answered on gut and general health, but also you're going to have my guidance, my direction, and support in an online supportive group setting. I'm going to go into the specifics of knowing what to eat, what not to eat, and how to avoid all the mistakes. So I'm also going to share with you on that program the best ways to calm your mind, relax your body, and to settle your emotions, because the gut-brain connection is real and live, as I've discussed in previous Mind Body Mondays. Check out previous sessions. So if you are ready to take your health, specifically your gut health, to the next level, just type in the chat now, gut health, type in the chat now, gut health, and I'll send you some more information. And you'll know you're ready to enroll in this program because you want to commit to yourself to take your health to a whole new level. So the Mind Body Monday series will continue as it is every Monday, 8 p.m. Israel time. And there I share the breaking research, and you're going to get some of that today, and practical steps to advance your health and healing. So that was my plug. It's behind us. So let's get on with the session. And again, just for those of you who are new, because I see new faces, if you don't know who I am, my name is Avraham Gundle. I'm the founder and director for the Center for Integrated Medicine. And I've been in the space of functional integrated medicine for the last 30 years in my private practice. And I've been privileged to have helped many, many people recover from chronic, unhealable conditions, from gut issues, anxiety, diabetes type 2, autoimmune conditions, and a whole slew of other health challenges as well. So I'm really happy to be here, and I'm more happy that you are here, because without you, I wouldn't be here either. I like to start off Mind Body Monday with something fresh from my practice, because my practice fuels my research, and my research fuels my teaching and my practice. So this is a real case. A 58-year-old woman came to see me. She was a little bit overweight. She exercised weekly, did her best to eat a healthy meal plan, so to speak. But when I went into a little bit more detail, she mentioned that she ate Shabbos leftovers until Tuesday. And I know you can make Havdalah until Tuesday, but Shabbos leftovers obviously have extra holiness, so they last all the way into the middle of the following week. And she often ate leftovers from her kids' plates. And this probably means kiddie foods, you know, the yummy, processed, oversalted, oversweet, engineered kiddie foods. But she quickly reassured me that she was a good water drinker. She tried to exercise weekly, and she ate a salad every day, which was basically chopped up cucumber and tomato. That's in my hometown, that's called an Israeli salad. Now, that's yummy and delicious, but I'm going to share with you some of those secrets towards the end of how you can ramp up your vitality through nutrition, and most importantly, how to turn off the genetic, the genes that can cause disease. Just by the way, people need to know this. Research shows that about 30% of diseases, cardiovascular disease, cancers, Alzheimer's, dementia, etc., are genetics. 70% is lifestyle. That means how you think, how you live, the choices you make, the foods you eat, the foods you don't eat. That means 30% are genetics. 70% is up to you, the choices you make. That being said, in a whole study called epigenetics, even that 30% can be manipulated through eating smartly and smart eating. Now, in my inner circle, which is a monthly deep dive, where I go into much more specifics of the latest research and breakthroughs in how to advance your health. In fact, my upcoming one next Sunday, Sunday the 31st of July, is on optimizing brain health for focus and clarity. But I go into some of these smart foods and what you can do to really help brain health. But for here, it's important to know that at least 70 to 80% of your health and well-being is really in your hands, and 20 to 30% is genetics. And even, as I said, that could be modified. Now, when I reviewed this patient's blood work, her B12 was a little bit low. The thyroid function looked to me on the low side, but everything else really seemed okay. Now, because I'd seen this pattern a lot, I decided to do another simple yet very revealing test. Now, just before I tell you about what that test was, I think it's important to look through the world, if you permit me, through my lens, at least when it comes to health and nutrition and functional medicine. Because when you understand this approach and you've put on this virtual reality for a moment, and you can take it on as your real reality if you want, then you'll understand how some of my interventions are really not rocket science, but they're really based on solid principles of science and understanding how the body works, how it should work ideally, some of the struggles and challenges we're up against. So functional medicine always seeks to address the root causes of illnesses or imbalances in the body. And my approach is really to inspire people to take proactive actions to nurture and cultivate health and vitality in body, mind, and soul for the long term. Just this week, I'd seen a 38-year-old woman who had a number of issues, but because she was very slightly built, I asked her about her bone health, and her jaw dropped because her mother and two of her sisters were already, her mother was osteoporotic and her two sisters were osteopenia. And she didn't even raise that to me, because when she's sitting in the chair in my office at the age of 38, I'm seeing her at 48, 58, 68, 78, 88, 98, and thereon. So it's really about looking at a whole picture of how to hand over the keys in wellness to people in small, bite-sized chunks, so they can really be at their best. So this is you're beginning to have the lens of a functional medicine practitioner. Let's understand it by way of analogy for a minute. Just imagine a farmer walks into his field, strolling through his apple orchard and admiring the fruits of his labor. He notices off to the side that some trees are not doing so great. So he goes over and inspects these apples, and he sees a little bit boggy, a little bit soft, skin browning, maybe some bugs around there, not happy. Well, what should he do? Well, he certainly could take protective measures around the fruit itself, putting a netting or a bag or spraying the area a little bit. But he's a wise farmer, so he's always looking for the root of the problem. Excuse the pun. So what he traces his mind all the way down, his eyes from the fruit to the branches to the trunk, all the way down to the roots of the tree. And he sees that the irrigation line is stopped up. So simply, that tree is not getting the nourishment it needs, not only the water, but the nutrients, the fertilizers, etc., that would bring to a healthy, vital tree and a happy, healthy fruit. Off to the other side, there's another tree with similar problems. So he goes over and inspects the roots once again, but this time the tree is sitting in a bog. The irrigation pipe has been oversupplying the nutrients, and the tree simply can't absorb it, and the roots are beginning to rot. So it's affecting the fruits of the tree. Similar problems at the level of the apple, but very different in their origins. And this is why two people can come to see me with the exact same problem, and I would address them in two totally different ways, because the root cause may be very different. Now, there are basic fundamental principles to health and well-being, and I'm going to share those with you at the end. But you must understand, even though those basic principles are in place, the root must be addressed, and that may be different for different people. So there are situations like that can happen to the body as well, where a person can be both overfed and undernourished, or simply not getting what the body needs. There's a fascinating new term called double burden of malnutrition. Maybe we can call it DBM. Everyone's always looking for some sort of quick term that confuses everybody and makes people think you're smart. It's called double burden of malnutrition. So in a fascinating research article in the Lancet Medical Journal, it describes this double burden of malnutrition as the coexistence of overnutrition. What that means in English is overweight and obesity, alongside undernutrition, that is stunting and a wasting of the body. Now, this is a key part of this Lancet research. At all levels of the population, in varied countries across the globe, in cities, in communities, in the household, individuals, now, regardless of the socioeconomic group. Now, this is fascinating, this observation. But we always want to look under the hood, get to the roots, and understand, why is this so? Why could people in today's modern Western society, where there's an abundance of so much good, be suffering from malnutrition? So let's go back and look back 100 years, maybe even 50 years, where people ate much more simpler. They were eating whole foods. Those are grains with the bran and the germ and all aspects of the grain, where the nutrients and the sensitive oils in there, vitamin A, vitamin D, and vitamin E, which would nourish the body and would be packaged with the right amount of fats and fibers and nutrients for the body to easily absorb that. And the food then was less processed than it is now. Because research has shown that eating whole grains is clearly associated with a lower risk of major diseases. That is, whole grains versus processed grains. Now, I'm just curious. Go ahead and type in the chat. How far do you think food needs to travel from farm to plate? Let's take in the United States, for example. How many miles does food need to travel from farm to plate? Go ahead, just guess. Type a number in the chat. How far would you say? How far would you say? Just give me some miles or kilometers in the chat. Yes, Eliza, very good. 500 miles. Excellent. Okay, so you've traveled in the States a little bit, and there's vast tracts of distance to travel. Anybody else? How many miles would you need to travel? Does food need to travel from farm to plate? Okay, yeah, 5,000 miles. That's right. I love that. Amazing. So we're beginning to understand it's not like 1.5 miles to the local corner store. The question is, where did they get it from? And someone else who's a politician writes in lots. Okay, fantastic. I like that too. So if you look that up, you'll probably find it's about 1,500 miles, 1,500 miles from farm to plate, on average in the States. Now, this is the key part. In order for this food to survive this journey, it needs to be stripped of its life-giving nutrients, because these nutrients will become rancid quite quickly. They're sensitive to light, to heat, to oxygen mainly. And these oils, which are life-giving oils to the body, become rancid and spoil the food. So immediately after these foods are farmed, they are processed and stripped of all these nutrients. Perhaps, if you're lucky, they may be added back along the food chain somewhere, but they are not added back the way they were originally. They're added back in the synthetic form, which is very poorly absorbed in the body and actually even confuses the body. There's some interesting research about folic acid, which is vital for pregnant women, specifically in the first trimester. And they discovered that a methylated form of folic acid was far, far superior for many reasons than the regular non-methylated form of folic acid, More on that in the inner circle, but just know that there's a difference. So you can know that things have been improved upon when you see on the labels enriched with or fortified with vitamin A, D, and E. Just grab the box of Kellogg's cornflakes or Cheerio, Honey Nut Cheerios, or whatever it happens to be. And it's a nice, healthy box, healthy looking box with all this enriched, added calcium, added this. Question is, can the body really deal with it? The answer is not really, and not very efficiently. So the product, note, it's not food, it's a product, is now shelf stable, and it can travel 1,500 miles without becoming rancid. And it will also enable it to stay on the shelf in the store, wherever that may be, for years. Processed oils are an example, like canola oil or processed sunflower oils. These oils are hydrogenated. They're treated specifically so they can last on the shelf for a very long time. They are rancid and are positively noxious to one's health. So a good way to really fast track your health is ditch all the processed oils for a start, even things in mayonnaise, and add olive oil or unheated, untreated oils like the virgin olive oil or coconut oil, any oils that are unprocessed. So let's look at 3 reasons why you may be now malnourished, no matter what your size. So the first thing to remember is that food is not as nutritious as it used to be. And this is because the food has less nutrients in. Now, why would that be? So that really piqued my curiosity. So according to some National Geographic research, which showed that many fruits, vegetables, and grains grown today carry less calcium, phosphorus, iron, B vitamins like riboflavin, also vitamin C, than those foods grown just 10 years ago. Scientists say that the root of this lies in modern day agriculture, where there's more of a push for increasing crop yield. And this disturbs the health of the soil, where crop rotation, all sorts of other strategies to maintain the health of the soil is somewhat compromised. It was really pushed by market forces. So a recent PubMed research showed that soil depletion of nutrients, that is, has led to a 6 to 38% reduction in various minerals within the last 50 years. So it means the first issue here is, even if you're eating consciously and trying to eat as nutrient dense as best as you can, the foods coming into you are less nutrient dense than they were. And what's the knock-on effect of this? Fewer nutrients means lowered immunity and increased vulnerability to chronic diseases. So that's the first challenge. The second challenge is that most of my patients and the people I speak to really are eating too many processed foods. Remember, your stomach is about the size of your fist. When you eat, it expands somewhat. That causes triggers some receptors in your stomach called baroreceptors, pressure receptors, that send a signal to your brain to tell you you're full. So if you're filling up on junk food, there's going to be less space for nutrient-dense food. So that means that the processed foods, those are the foods that were stripped of their nutrients to travel those 1,500 miles to get to your plate. So when you do eat those, then you're filling yourselves up and you may feel full and satisfied and all that for the short term. But the body's being filled up with, air, for the one of better word, or low density food, if you can call it that. There's an interesting 3-letter word called that SAD, SAD, which actually stands for Standard American Diet. And there's a high correlation between people who eat sad are sad because of how food affects our brain neurochemistry. Because remember, more than half of our dopamine and our serotonin, which are happy neurotransmitters in our brain, are made in the gut. So if you're eating sad food, the standard American diet, then you're going to be experiencing sad thoughts, anxious thoughts, and depressive thoughts, simply because your body doesn't have the building blocks it needs to make the nutrients needed to make happy hormones in your brain. So the interesting thing about these processed foods, they're also highly addictive in and of themselves. Why is that? Because these nutrient-depleted foods cause the body to go on a seek and find mission, because intuitively the body's looking for other nutrients. And so a person will have, let's say, craving for sweet or craving for salt or wanting savory or wanting something, and unsettled in its desire to fill that need that it's not getting biochemically. And it's interesting, they did some research with toddlers. They found that toddlers would, be going off in playing in the garden and maybe eating soil or licking the rust on a slide or something. And they actually discovered that these kids were nutrient deficient in these basic nutrients, that they were scavenging or foraging rather in their environment. So nutrient depleted foods create an addiction for trying to get more foods, and then again the body is driven to eat more of those nutrient deficient foods, and the cycle goes on. So there's another piece. This is the third point I wanted to share, and then I want to tell you a fascinating story. So this cycle has another element to it. This spiraling cycle of food addiction to the wrong sorts of food because of a biochemical imbalance is also because the imbalance in the body causes a turning off of what's called the satiety mechanism in the brain. This is the part of our brain that lets us know, oh, I'm satisfied, I feel good, I'm sorted. And this mechanism is turned off because it's not properly working, because it's not getting the nutrients it needs to work properly. Hence, the body keeps asking and looking for more, even though technically you may have eaten your fill, but you don't feel satisfied because the quality of the food is poor. I recently read about a retiring cardiologist, about his experience at a conference. And at the end of the conference, the speaker had everybody stand up and asked them to do a simple task. He said, those of you who think dairy is healthy, please stay standing. And those of you who think dairy is unhealthy, please sit down. So all the doctors, looked around a little bit, and half of them sat down, half or so, and half remained standing. The speaker then said, in this room, we have some of the top cardiologists in the world. And for something as simple as diet, nutrition, why is there so much confusion about what to eat and what not to eat? As you can imagine, people were left feeling quite dumbfounded. The story I love the most is the doctors of the Yellow Emperor, all those thousands of years ago in China, where the doctors were paid handsomely when the emperor was healthy. But if the emperor were to fall ill, they were not paid. Quite the opposite today, where doctors are paid handsomely, royally, to nurture people back to health. Because what did the emperor understand? He understood that far more wisdom and experience of the body, of the mind, of the spirit, of the psychology is needed to maintain a balance in the body, to nurture and cultivate vitality. Much more wisdom and skill is needed on that front than on the level of nursing a person back to health again. So he paid his doctors very well to keep him healthy and vital. And when he got sick, he didn't get paid. And they worked hard to get him back again to vital health again. So I guess that's a lovely incentive for the doctors to work hard to balance his mind and his thoughts and his lifestyle, etc., to get him back feeling fantastic. Now, while diets and nutrition plans need to be custom made and made according to each individual, based on a concept called biochemical individuality, meaning each of us have a different face, different fingerprints. We'll also have different nutritional needs. And I'm going to share that test with you in a little bit, and you'll see what I mean. At the same time, there's a fundamental building block that all diets and nutritional plans around the world all have in common. And then there are nuances and tweaks in those. I call these general principles my non-negotiables, because once I've drawn a line in the sand for myself that these things I'm not going to have on a regular basis, and some of them not at all, then I'm making commitment to myself to be at the best I can. Obviously, there are times in my life I let my head down and drop, Shabbos, special family occasions, Yom Tov, but even then it's in a narrow perimeter, and sometimes there are certain things I just won't have. Now, before I get down to what that test is, you know what? Let me do that now. Now that you really had a chance to look through my functional medicine lens, and for those of you who want to keep my glasses on for a while, you're welcome. For those of you who want to just take them off and put yours on, you're welcome, or keep switching on and off until you're comfortable. Either way, it's fine. But let me share with you this test that's quite revealing. And as I said, I do this for myself once a year to check in on myself. And then I'm going to share with you the 4 ways, I think they're actually more than 4, last I counted, 4 ways to increase your nutrient-dense eating. So let me just share my screen with you. Okay, so here is what you're looking at is a sample of a test called a hair from your head mineral analysis, where only a teaspoon's worth of hair is taken from the head on 5 different areas. Don't have to get into the technicalities. That is not painful. That's the point, and it's easily done at home. And what happens is I get an entire report come back with major minerals in the body, things like calcium, magnesium, sodium, copper, phosphorus, iron, magnesium, chromium, selenium, boron, cobalt, molybdenum, sulfur. These are key nutrients that turn on and off genes in the body, to the gene expression to bring out a disease or suppress a disease, depending on the nutrient quotient in a person's diet. And there's a reference value here, and I'm looking for imbalances. I'm looking at if things are too high, and obviously if things are too low. Then I know how to address them. Otherwise, it's a guessing game. It's like a person needs prescription glasses, and they go into the optometrist, and they just grab something off the shelf, and wow, these are nice, stick them on. Or maybe from the person who walked in before, just let's copy paste their prescription onto your face. No one would do that. So why should nutrition be any different? So that's exactly what I do with this hair mineral analysis. And the other piece to this is equally fascinating, is something called toxic elements, where I look at also uranium, arsenic, beryllium, mercury, cadmium, lead, mercury, etc. These are toxic metals that disrupt nutrient absorption in the body, and also can disrupt brain function and cause loss of memory and even Alzheimer's and dementia as part of the package. So these are really important to identify. Then I go into a little bit more detail, looking at different trace minerals. These are minerals that the body needs, but tiny, tiny amounts, and they are absolutely essential for the body. So without this information, it's a person is pretty much working in the dark if they want to get their nutrition sorted out. So so this is a test that I offer in the clinic. It's called a hair mineral analysis. If you can come in, we do it in the clinic. If not, we can send it to you, and then we send it off to a special lab. We analyze it, and then then I recommend the next step. The first step is through food forms of nutrient, it's the best, and then food dense nutrients to take your health to the next level. Amazing. Okay, so let's look at the next step here. So the next step here is really 4 ways to ensure that you are eating in a nutrient dense pattern, which I call NDE, nutrient dense eating. And the first is really to get this principle. And if you get this principle, you pretty much sorted, because this principle is like putting on my functional medicine lens again. And number 1 is really to be grateful for the food that you eat. You know, it's taken 1,500 miles to get to you, if it's a healthy food specifically, hopefully. And it's easy to take food for granted and food prep for granted. So it's a good time before you eat just to really express gratitude in your own words, and before eating, really to just acknowledge the Creator that He's brought this food to you, and it's going to nourish you and keep you strong and healthy and vital. And this feeling of gratitude and thankfulness is so important for the whole mind-body connection as well. The other thing, and just in terms of attitude, is before eating, ask yourself, how will this food that I'm going to eat now make me feel over a longer period of time? Will it give me more healthy energy? What will it do for me? Just imagine if this food was the only food you would eat 3 times a day for 3 months. What would you do? What would happen? So if it's pizza, then it will take your body down one trajectory. But if it's a healthy salad or something nutrient dense, then that's much more sustainable and building for your health and vitality. So these 2 components, the gratitude piece, and then the questions of how will this make you feel? And intuitively, before you eat, just check in with yourself and say, is this good for me? And if you listen, you'll probably get an answer. Should I be eating this now? How much should I be eating? It's a big piece in intuitive eating that I think is so important. So let's jump into the first principle. The first principle is eat the rainbow. Just remember that. Beautiful rainbow. Eat the rainbow. Now, this is the basic rule of thumb, because you want to eat a rainbow of different colors. Beet, carrots, broccoli, that's the red, the greens, the oranges, etc. Because each color has a different phytonutrient, different phytochemical, different nutrients and chemicals from plants that nourish and heal the body in different ways. So I always tell my patients, just experiment each week when you go to buy the vegetable, do the vegetable shopping. If there's some vegetable you haven't seen for a while, you haven't tried it or tasted, just buy one. Like when last did you buy a kohlrabi? Or when last did you buy a fennel? Or when last did you buy a leek? You know, and just try different things, and just buy one, and then, you know, experiment with different recipes. So that's one principle. The second is really to include foods to them as close to their natural state as possible. This is really important. How you find them in the field is really how you want to find them on your plate. Obviously, if you need to cook them or prepare them, then you'll do that. But the less processed, the better off you'll be. And you want seasonal fruits and vegetables with an emphasis on dark leafy greens. I tell my patients that frozen veg is absolutely fine. You can get the Bodek broccoli or alei, that's the beet leaves, celery, and you can get already checked baby salads with all the little greens or purple lettuce, purple leaves. All those add different bitter principles and nutrients to the body. And what this will do when you begin to eat more vegetables, like at least 65 to 75% of your plate should be really vegetables, either steamed, baked, roasted, raw, because this will also alkalize your diet. And an alkaline body is a healthier body. Disease tends to take root in a more acidic body. So having high vegetable content food, at least 2 of these vegetable salads a day, or 3 to 5 vegetables minimum, will push your body into a healthier state. And then if you are going to eat the grains, and have them in their whole state as possible. I personally, my wife makes this delicious sprouted spelt bread, which we actually use for challah on Shabbos. It's a whole grain spelt. It misses the flour stage. We sprout it, and then she does her magic and makes this delicious spelted, it's actually sourdough as well, sprouted spelt sourdough bread, and it's full with nutrients just the way it was originally designed to do. So having whole grains. Now, sometimes my patients will say to me, listen, Avraham, it's all very nice to eat healthy, but it's very expensive. What are you supposed to do? So I said, actually, that's not true. That's actually not true. Cheap food is expensive for 2 reasons. The obvious one is it will bring a person to illness, and that's a very expensive business to repair your health. That's often said that a healthy person has 1,000 dreams. A sick person has just 1. So cheap food is inexpensive food, and processed food is not the way to go. So I tell these patients that, and then I say, listen, for 1 week, track your food bill. Actually get all your bills from all the things you've spent, and for 1 week, track it. And then begin to notice how much of your food budget is spent on garbage, on processed food, on stuff for the kids, in Shabbos treats, etc., etc. And you'll begin to see a pattern. And then after that, you can course correct and figure out if you want to adjust that or not. The last nutrient-dense eating strategy is fat does not make you fat. You want to be eating healthy fat, like unprocessed, unheated oil, like the olive oil I mentioned, or a good quality vegetable that's unheated, or coconut oil. These are wholesome and required for the body, for cell membrane integrity, keep the cells strong and healthy. Also for your brain. Our brain is largely a fat organ. So if you ditch the processed oils, you'll already be well ahead of the game, and your body will thank you for it. If you joined in the middle of our session, the replay will be up on the various channels on YouTube, in our private Facebook group, and I've just launched this week a brand new WhatsApp group where I'm going to be sharing biohacks, tricks, strategies to advance your health and wellness right in your pocket. So check out the chat for that information. And if you did miss the exciting news at the beginning, I just want to share with you the release of my long-awaited Heal Your Gut program. It's really a program for those who want to take a deep dive to advance their health and well-being and really sort their gut issues out from beginning to end. Super practical, fun, interactive in an online community. So if you are interested, just type in gut health in the chat, and I'm going to be in touch. So thanks once again for joining me on Mind Body Monday. I love these sessions with you. I really do. And just remember that Mind Body Monday is really all about self-care, is the heart of healthcare, when all you need to do is take one small step to advance your health in mind, body, and spirit. I look forward to seeing you next week.